Hey guys, this is Gabriel Hirschberger. Another episode of the 20 Mile March podcast. I'm super excited today. I've got Nick, Julia, and JP Joel today. Both of them. This is a special episode where I normally just get to talk to one person at a time, but they are the team that runs Mind Heroes. So JP Joel does the sales part of it, and Nick Julia does bot building. And so I think a lot of you people in the bot community are familiar with Nick Julia too. He's out crushing it. So I'm super excited to bring this episode to you guys and some of your questions. We're going to dive into sales and bots and some case study stuff as well. So, and like allow you guys to get to know him a little bit. And then see what you guys can do with, I'm excited about the bots. And as you can tell, like I'm obsessed with this topic as well. So guys, let's go into it. Thanks for joining me today. Nick, let's start with telling me a little about your company and what you're up to.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so we do bots for e-commerce companies, marketers and influencers with a product usually, and SaaS companies, basically to get you more and happier customers. If I had to tell somebody, and usually the companies we work with have heard of bots a little bit, and I think your audience probably has, so there's no need to go for the simpler explanation of it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But yeah, if let's just say for like I don't know, like there's still a lot of people that don't know. Like bots are basically a piece of software that runs and creates conversations that allow people. It's a new channel for marketers for people to use when their email is not getting very good open rates or click through rates anymore, where the conversation shows up on their phone in a chat conversation. Is that clear, or does that just make it more confusing?
Yeah, I don't know that I would explain it to somebody that way. That didn't know what it was. If I were trying to sell them something, right? So it just depends on, and JP can probably speak to this too, but
JP, how do you explain bots?
yeah, it really depends on their business, right? So if they understand email marketing, what you just said is pretty much okay, but I might go with something more along the lines of like, and not even mention a bot at first. Or
Yeah.
JP, you jump in. You can.
Yeah, of course. I think the term bot actually really kind of confuses people that don't really understand the benefits of a bot and can kind of scare off some people. So I kind of describe it as a new marketing channel. And I talk a little bit about the open rates and the click-through rates. I think that HubSpot did a survey last year, and it says that like the average person deletes 48% of the emails they receive every day within like a minute.
Yeah.
And so, talking about that, and then when you see people that are seeing 80 to 90% open rates on Messenger right now, and some of them are getting 70 to 80% click-through rates. And that obviously depends on the bot.
All the bots you guys build, right?
No.
No, I wish we could say that, but it really does depend on the company or the marketer that we're working with. But I just kind of talk about it as a new marketing channel and an easier way to reach their user base quickly and easily.
Yeah. If they're doing email, let's supercharge what you're already doing. I think we have one tagline on the site that's something like, so you never have to worry about hitting the Gmail, like, what's it called? I don't know, one of the social boxes, or basically so you never get relegated so nobody sees your messaging.
Oh, right. Like those tabs on the top, like promotions and like forums or whatever the things those are called, right? I don't even, it seems so random. Like, I don't know where those emails, sometimes I get emails and they're like, it's funny that it ended up in this tab, but yeah. JP, what's your backstory a little bit? How did you arrive today at this sales partnership with Nick? You want to go into that?
Yeah, of course. So I actually started my career in marketing in mobile ad tech, as an account manager and then as an AE, and then moved over to IT,
AE.
enterprise sales, account executive. So
Okay.
running sales for new accounts and bringing in new business for whatever company I was working with at the time. Started in mobile ad tech, moved over to full digital marketing, and then over to IT, doing enterprise sales there. And actually, Nick and I actually just connected through the Bot Academy Facebook group. I had a couple questions for him about, building bots and what that kind of looked like for him. And, we just,
Why'd you
you know,
tap Nick?
because, I
Get
heard a
out of
lot of
here.
great things,
What'd you
heard a
say,
lot of
Nick?
good things, and he had a lot of good, smart stuff. He was making some good posts and was a big fan of the bots he built.
Cool. What did you say, Nick, earlier?
No, I was just messing around.
I know, right?
Um, but yeah, JP's got to be careful how he tells that story. We've gotten multiple times, we've told it. People are like, that's a love story.
I think Gabriel actually said it first.
It was
Who
meant
said that?
I think you brought it up the first time that we met. Actually,
Oh, really?
story he did, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And Nick, how did you get to where you're at today? What'd you do before bots?
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably like 8, 10 years ago. I actually went to law school. Figured out pretty quickly that I didn't like what lawyers actually do.
Did you did your mom and dad say you should be a lawyer? Why did you go that route? And then find out you hated it?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a big disconnect between like classes and courses. So I actually took something in undergrad that I really enjoyed. I was like, and I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, still not, right?
Right.
But
Figuring it out.
but yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and it kind of made sense, and it's potentially a really good living.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in, and I really did
Stable.
enjoy law school overall. Had probably one of my favorite professors, law school professor, but yeah, it's kind of terrible what you actually do.
Mm-hmm. A good professor makes all the difference, like someone, I know I wasn't really into trig very much, but I loved my trigonometry, teacher, and stats was the same way for me. Like I just really got into it, so like a good teacher can make a huge difference in your life.
Yeah, so they fucking tricked me, and and but
Took your money and wasted all these years of your life that you wanted to have back.
well,
So
the
are you a
upside.
lawyer now, or did you pass the bar? And
I never took the bar. I just didn't like it enough to warrant the time and the effort and money to do it.
yeah. And then how'd
Um,
you get into marketing?
so I actually started working. So even throughout law school, I was helping a little bit with some of my family business stuff. I had a good buddy of mine who still works in digital marketing. I started talking to him. I did a couple smaller websites for people. Uh, and then started working for my family business and doing other stuff on the side. And it just kind of snowballed from there. Did more content marketing later on. That's been the last thing I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And then jumped into Andrew's course because I thought it would be, a cool opportunity, and I thought it was going to be big, and it's turned out to be fun.
Mm-hmm. It
It's
is
so
gonna.
fun.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be, and I think it's gonna be big too. And that's why the whole thing, why I keep spending so much time with these things, and instead of going out and having a good time, and I'm just spending my Friday nights building bots. So and then looking at other people's social media accounts, feeling jealous, and like, oh, okay, so that's what it's like to have fun out there. Going to music and stuff. Anyway, so that's cool. It's good to get to know you guys, JP and Nick, and to hear a little bit about like where you're at today, and kind of like it takes a lot of prep to get to where you're at. It's not like people think like it's like an overnight success sometimes, like you just emerge from nowhere, but there's always that work, that building that foundation to get to where you're at. It's always preparing yourself for, you know, the next thing in your life and in the future, for what you're doing today and how that prepares you for the next big thing, that seems like an overnight success. So you guys have a cool partnership, and so I want to talk a little bit about the benefits, of partnering up, and how that like leverages your unique strengths and abilities. And I think, like myself, I've thought about partnering too, but I really just don't. I guess I should just Google it, like how to form a partnership, or learn a little bit more about it, because I don't really feel educated, at all about how to do it and how to structure it and that kind of thing. So, JP or Nick, I don't care who starts to talk about this, but hit it. Go ahead, and whoever's feeling something.
So partnering in what sense, Gabe? Like our partnership, or
Yeah, or yeah, let's make it specific about your partnership. Yeah, and each, and maybe why partnerships can help solo bot builders.
do you want to take it, JP, or do you want me to?
Sure, I can take it. I think that the benefit of our partnership was that, I'm very interested in bots, and, I really see them as a great tool in the future of marketing. I think that, the kind of success people are seeing, the 80 to 90% open rates are just unheard of. And, it was something I really wanted to dive into. And that's actually why I reached out to Nick. But I think that the benefit really came from Nick being a great bot builder and me having experience with enterprise sales, where I could help Nick with the sales and also teach him a little bit more about enterprise sales. But at the same time, I could actually learn about, running bot building agency, building bots, how to do it correctly, best practices. And, I think the best partnerships are actually ones where you actually both learn something. Both parties have to bring something to the table. And, when you are able to kind of focus on one thing that you are already proficient at, it makes the learning process a whole lot easier, because, otherwise you're trying to figure out other things and you're doing this and that if you're going at it solo, which makes things a lot harder. If you're spending time to, work on your copywriting for the bots and, new techniques, but also trying to learn sales at the same time, it can really kind of slow down the process. But building a partnership with someone that knows how to do something that you're lacking in is really important, because it allows you to focus on what you know and what you do best, but also gives you the benefits of having someone with that experience, so you get to learn and also kind of take your business to the next level at the same time.
Faster. Yeah, faster. And also everybody has different strengths. So it's kind of like it creates more win-win situations. I guess as long as you sort of like, you have that trust that you in your partnership, and you're both on that same mission, and you have the same page and same kind of culture moving forward, then I think partnerships could really accelerate your growth and lead to much bigger opportunities, as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, look, in partnerships also in the sense of, if you have an agency, a digital agency, but don't have the experience in bots, maybe it makes sense to bring on, or at least try to partner up with somebody who focuses solely on bots, right? So you can, same thing. Like, if it makes sense and you have two different skill sets, and you want to add additional services for your clients and all of that, that I've seen work well, not only for us, but for other bot agencies. I know, oh man, I'm absolutely blanking on her name. They run the School of Bots.
Is it Natasha?
Natasha, there you go. I know she's had a lot of success with that. And so yeah, I think just in general, partnerships tend to accelerate. It's the win-win, right? I mean, if it works out, and you just have to be careful about entering into it at least too strictly before you know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. On that point, you really have to make sure it's the right fit. Don't just dive in right away. Some people just don't work well together. Maybe it's not the right partner. Maybe they're, maybe the way they do business or the type of clients that they're going after might not be the same type of clients that you want to go after or that you're going after. And so I think that a lot of people get really excited and bring on a partner too quick, and it's not the right fit. And I mean, you see this all the time with startup founders. CEO brings on a CTO and they just don't get along. And, I mean, when you just constantly butt heads, it's not a good work environment. I mean, it's always good to get pushback. I think that, pushback's definitely something that's really important. You want someone that'll check you and make you think about your ideas, but, you don't want someone that you just can't trust and get along with.
Yeah. If you're not gonna trust or you don't get along or you don't gel, like that's not a partnership that's gonna work. And it should be fun in a way too, that you guys it's like checking in with each other and sort of celebrating wins as well. Like I think that's gonna be real important. And you guys, I know you guys didn't even really meet for a while at first. You just had it's like Zoom calls and stuff for a while. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, look, anymore, I don't think you really need to meet in person for a lot of things. So, and I guess JP felt the same, right? So eventually we did sit down, had a beer, and met in person. But yeah, as long as you know it's the right fit and can kind of qualify it beforehand, meeting in person is just kind of an extra bonus, I suppose.
Yeah. So did you guys just talk it out and then you sort of figured out like this might work? Just started trying it out real slowly and then the trust evolved from there. Just built it from having a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it happened
Am I
probably a little
overthinking
more
it?
quickly than that because the way we kind of tried to do it was so there was no big downside for either one of us. And it was just like, look, screw it, let's try it.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works. I mean, it was there's no, like, we still don't have a particular contract. It's more like handshake deal. And I think if you can find people that you trust enough to do that, doesn't mean it won't ever bite you in the ass, but the way we did it was just mainly upside, I think, for both of us. And so that we felt comfortable just moving forward.
So let's go into a case study with chatbots here. I look on your website, and you mentioned some of the companies that you've worked with: Sign Warehouse, Neil Patel, that's awesome. Nielsen Marketing Services, Inclusive, Goins Writer. So what's one of your favorite bots that you've built and with your results?
Yeah, so I'll actually throw out one that's not on there because it just launched. It's the Facebook page. I'm going to screw this up. I think it's Perfect Ketones. So it's the website is perfectketo.com. So we just soft launched this for them, but it's one of the cooler ones because it's an e-commerce bot, but it's not so much pushing their product as it is trying to be just very, very helpful. So one of the biggest things for people on that diet is, can I eat this? Right? So you're at the store, you're wherever. Can I have a carrot? Yeah. Which might seem obvious, but I don't think on that diet I would have to go back to my bot. So you can enter it in, and it'll give you a response as to whether you can have it or not. And the subtext, of course, is, okay, we're being useful and helpful, and also here's our product. but by and large, it's using natural language stuff, which we integrated with Dialogflow and Chatfuel, to really help people. So I think I particularly enjoyed doing that one.
So you can enter in a particular food item while you're shopping and see if it's in the keto diet. It'll tell you yeah or what happens. If I were to put carrots in.
Yeah, if you put carrots in, and I probably should have put this. I could have pulled it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So we give like varied responses, but the bottom line is either yes, you can have it, or no, you can't.
Yeah.
And sometimes we take that and we try to be a little funny and make it more, interactive. And other times it's just like, yep, carrots. Actually, I don't think you can have carrots, oddly enough. I think a lot of root vegetables, which I learned, are not on the diet.
Oh.
Which I suppose if you're on it, maybe but maybe you don't.
Right. Keto, that's ketones or ketosis or something like that. It's a lot of like fats or meat or something like that. Is it like nuts and meat and stuff to keep you in fat burning mode or something? I don't even know. I'm just making that up.
No, I mean, I think you're kind of right. And watch, there's probably somebody at home screaming, you're wrong. Come on. Look, I'm not the expert in this. That's where the customer comes in.
Yeah.
But overall, yes, you can have vegetables and other things on a ketogenic diet. I think what you're talking about more is like a paleo or
that's it. I'm thinking paleo.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about optimizing. Yeah.
This seems really like hard to do because there are so many different food items out there. I mean, it's like infinite here. And like, doesn't that break the bot if it doesn't know how to respond?
Yep. Kinda. Is the answer.
How do you handle those errors?
Yeah, so we handle them as well as we can, and the bot will get smarter as we keep doing this because it incorporates machine learning, and then behind the scenes, we're also monitoring and updating it. But that's why you need something like a natural language and machine learning kind of engine behind it. Otherwise, it gets pretty terrible really fast.
Yeah, who we're getting into the nitty gritty here, but who runs that back end of that natural learning, the engine, the natural language processing that's linked up to Chatfuel, or is it Chatfuels?
Yeah, it's backed by Google.
It's backed by Google,
or I think they purchased it. However you want to say it,
This company called Google. I'll look into them.
One of those.
I think I heard about them once.
Yeah, and I guess Facebook has one. Facebook has their own AI kind of natural thing too, right?
Yeah, wit.ai.
Wit, yeah. Yeah, I've looked into it a little bit. I think I signed up for, I think I used Google to do some of the processing of taking our podcast and like putting subtitles underneath it, like captioning it. And it does a pretty spectacular job. I found that Google's did a little better job of Facebook when I tested the two services together. And so, yeah, and it's really cheap as well to use, like the Google's service. I don't know, it's very inexpensive. I think Facebook's was even free. Wit, I think, was totally free. I forget, or maybe I'm doing that backwards, but
yeah, I don't know, man. I think maybe so. Well, I don't know. I suppose maybe you could try to do that with it, but I think maybe you're talking about a different service.
No, it does. I mean, yeah, I do. It works. Like I've had that, and in the translation, the automation of the translation, machine learning is pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not like it has all the punctuation and all that stuff like that, and it gets some of the words wrong, but like a lot of the bulk of it is actually in there properly, and it's like synced up with. So it's pretty cool. It's just going to get better and better. Like as with Alexa skills and Siri and all those kinds of things too. Saves us time, just being able to talk on our phone. I'm seeing that over and over. And so that's a cool one. Like that sounds like some advanced stuff that ManyChat couldn't really do at this point. So, but I hear they're opening up their API or something as well. It's getting...
Yeah, I mean, supposedly they're giving out beta access to some developer tools, but ManyChat, I haven't gotten them yet.
Come on, ManyChat.
I know.
Yeah.
Man.
So that's awesome. I love hearing about those case studies. I think they're really. I think a lot of people find those interesting too. So let's. I want to ask about, since we got the JP here, and he's like a sales guy here. So I wanted to ask you, man, about learning to sell. I suck at selling, so I mean, I don't know. It's I think it's like about learning how to offer something and not push anybody into anything, because it just doesn't work. No one likes a pushy sales guy, and that old school method, I guess, of just like never say no. That just feels really wrong to me. And like, if you go into a sales thing with an attitude of like, hey, I don't really need this sale, and you can just walk away from it without closing it and saying, hey, okay, I guess this isn't for you at this time. Thank you for your time. I appreciate our meeting, and just move on. That seems ideal to me. What are your thoughts, JP, on selling?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that, you should push anything if the customer doesn't absolutely need it. Don't push a product, right? If a company's not doing any Facebook marketing, any kind of messenger marketing, then, it's not a good fit for them, right? You have to really kind of understand the customer. You do need to be a little pushy at times, as the deal progresses, just to kind of get certain things moved along or find out some information, but not really push. And, kind of like you said, right? No one wants that guy that's just walking into a deal and just like, I'm going to close this, I'm going to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not right for them, it's not right. And you need to just kind of walk away. The amount of energy you spend trying to convince them that they need this, could be spent, finding 5 more people that actually want this and need this.
Right.
And you got to kind of know when to walk away from a deal. And it's better to learn earlier than later on, because you don't want to spend time, setting up an initial call, a demo, building out a demo bot, proposal, all of that, if they don't really need this. And, you have to qualify your customers, and people don't spend a lot of time doing that. I think when they're new to sales, they're just so excited to get a conversation with someone, and that they feel like, okay, I finally got this guy, I need to sell it. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people that are new to sales make.
Yeah. Nick, how was sales for you at the beginning when you were on your own?
Yeah, well, definitely different, right? Because JP especially is now focusing on more kind of enterprise-sized customers, which is a different ball game. Some of the basics still apply, but he's really good at that and understands how to get those guys to the table, and close a deal. Whereas
it's a longer sales cycle.
I mean, maybe I'm not absolutely terrible at it, but
like I am.
My strength. So I think it just depends also, like, by understanding your market. And I was going after different people that were smaller, mainly kind of coaches, is where I started, because I had some success there. So I said, okay, like let's keep going that direction. But I look at it, and I think why JP and I connected a lot was we look at sales in very much the same way. Like, is there a fit? Can we really help this person with the product? And then let's get it to them. So yeah, I think even at the beginning, I wanted to make sure that there was a fit. And it got easier for sure the more outbound stuff I did, and then started creating some more content. So I had that slight in the background, and I'm now getting more inbound stuff. But there again, like, you have to be careful of qualifying people. I've even jumped on calls with people, and then, we're not the right fit for you. So I think is the product the right fit? Are we the right fit? And you need both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking on that, I think, you should never be scared to walk away from a client if it's not the right fit, because that's going to be so much more of a headache for you and a hassle. And, you might not get the deal done, or even if you get the deal done, they're not going to be happy, or, you have to just be willing to say no to a customer if it is not the right fit, because you will find customers that are the right fit,
right,
in the right market. And you just have to kind of figure that out. Nick and I discussed a couple different markets that we wanted to go after because we saw a lot of value for them. But, we did some research, and I talked to a couple people, and, they didn't see that market right now, did not see that it was a good fit. And so, even though we saw the value,
interesting,
they didn't. And you always have to assume that they might not think that, but you have to put yourself in their shoes and really kind of picture where they're coming from, because, when you're so involved in it, you think this is the greatest thing, but maybe not everyone does. Or, some markets are a little later to adapt to newer technology and new marketing trends.
Good point. Yeah. And one other thing too, I was just adding to that, JP, is that like, if you're developing a long-term relationship with these clients and then keep improving their bots and their click-through rates and their campaigns as you keep adding to them, if it's a market and a customer that you really, 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 really like love serving, then there's going to be a much better fit than somebody who is not really into what you're doing, and so they might drop off. Even if you do build a bot, it might just be more of a short-term thing. And so I think looking at it in that way too is sort of like the long-term game as well is a good thing to think about. So, and JP, we heard from Nick about a bot case study. Do you have a favorite one that you thought was really badass? That you thought was kind of cool?
I actually really like the Completely Keto bot as well. There's also another e-commerce demo bot that Nick recently built that I'm a really big fan of. It's just a really cool product way to showcase their products and find different fits for different people. And I thought that was really cool because I could really just see brands loving that. And that's probably I love that bot a lot. I've actually just been showing all my friends that bot, and
cool.
everyone really likes that, but I think it's actually really cool. We haven't built the full one out yet, but we will soon.
I see. It's sort of in development right now.
It's just a kind of a e-commerce demo bot.
Oh, an e-commerce demo bot. I got you. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. And does it like connect with a Shopify thing, or is it just click to a website where you can order and put the card in that way, or how does it work?
It can. I know Nick can actually do a little magic there and make it connect to the Shopify store.
He's the wizard.
Yeah. He's the brains behind this.
I don't know. Well, behind the bots, right? Not behind, but yeah, it all depends on what the client, like what the requirements are and what the end goal is for them. And then we build around that. But this demo, pretty cool. We're actually pitching it to one fairly large company, or trying to. And yeah, but it just showcases some of the abilities of the bot.
Okay.
I don't love necessarily focusing on that first before you know what the goals are, but it also helps a client or a potential client understand what value it could bring.
They could see it. They can play with it. Yeah. And then wrap their minds around it. Get them to start imagining it. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the sales part of never assume what your client needs or wants. I think demo bots are just kind of a good way to kind of showcase, like Nick said, what a bot could do or what it could look like. Because bots are still new, and a lot of people don't really quite get the benefits. But you should never assume what the client needs and build the bot just based off your assumptions.
Yeah.
You have to really dig in and see what their marketing strategy is, what their pain points are, how you can alleviate those pain points. You know, and kind of going back into some sales, I think a lot of people don't take the time when they're newer at sales to actually learn that. They start pitching features.
Yeah.
And that's the completely wrong way to do it. You need to pitch value, and you need to understand what that value is to that customer in particular. Just because, you know, you have one, you know, fashion company doesn't mean that, you know, fashion company A is going to have the same kind of thing as fashion company B because they sell, you know, they both sell shoes. Doesn't necessarily mean at all that the bots are going to be any like similar at all.
Sure. So let's zoom out a little bit here and just go into why chatbots, like when there's so many other things that we could spend our time doing. I know, like, you know, we all see the opportunity here as this white space and this wave. I think that's emerging and riding it. And it being like, if this was 99 back in 1999, we'd maybe be doing email instead, like getting into that, like, oh, okay, this thing like business can use email for marketing, like, whoa, and get like the same crazy open rates and stuff. Like back when we used to actually read our emails, like people sat and read their emails and cleared their inbox and everything, like, oh, I got another email today, oh, this is cool, and checking it out because it was so new and stuff like that. Is it the same thing but more personal? Why chatbots?
Yeah, so I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're always looking at, or at least for me, it's about the next technology that can make your life easier or better, or we can provide more value.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I see it heading, right? So like if you think back to the beginnings of email, it was so we could communicate better with each other. And then marketers got in there and spammed it and, you know, did all this shit to make it terrible. But when you think about it, originally it was let's facilitate communication in a way that hasn't been done before. And I think bots in a lot of ways accomplish the same thing. Let's make the customer experience better, get them the information they want, and be more helpful. If you do it right, or you can go with the real spammy shit and, you know, at this point still get decent click-through rates and all of that, but it won't last.
Yeah. Are the marketers going to ruin bots too as well? Like, so the open rates and click-through rates just drop?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be harder to ruin them because it's so easy to unsubscribe from a Facebook bot.
Yeah. And Facebook has a lot of terms of service controls over the thing. I mean, they want the people to stay on their platform. So
yeah, it's one of the pros and cons, right?
Yeah, you can get banned and flagged pretty easily. Marked as a spammer.
Yeah, and I've seen it happen already, which is good. But I do think, you know, there's a potential because it's not your own platform. You don't have complete control, which is a big downside. That's why you still need to capture information and move them into your own platform. So I don't think email is going away by any means.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you do it right, bots are a really great opportunity to kind of take communication to the next step. And I just see that getting better. And I think we're going to have different expressions of that come about sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. And JP, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I completely agree. I don't think email is going to completely go away. But I do see it as the next, you know, bots are just kind of the next platform. And, you know, it's kind of being able to adapt. But I think that people have learned a lot from email marketing. So I don't think it's going to get as bad or as fast because there's already so many of those policies in place. You know, I think that I heard Andrew Warner speak about bots, and he just kind of he had a great story about how when he was doing email marketing, he met this guy that used to be the best or one of the biggest direct mail guys, and didn't really quite adapt his business. And as
Right.
technology changes, you have to adapt. And Andrew's
Mm-hmm.
boss looked over and he said, take a close look. That guy, he shut down his business, or it's been downgraded because
Yeah.
he didn't adapt, and that could be us one day. And I think that bots are just another way for marketers to reach their consumers, or for companies to reach their customers in a better way. But completely agree with everything that Nick said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, I was actually just talking to a potential customer whose business literally was based on email, had gone from over 120, I think it was, $1,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
not a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
to under 60K a month.
Wow.
So,
And nothing
there
had
you
really
go.
changed. Nothing's really changing except his email is not being opened.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but yeah, a lot of Gmail stuff has changed pretty dramatically in the past couple of years. So I think that's a big part of the explanation. Just people aren't seeing the message
Uh-huh.
for the reasons JP talked about, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're getting inundated with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Gmail's trying to make our lives easier to filter out messages from marketers,
Yeah.
and they are and they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I
combination.
remember, I'm old enough to remember when I was a kid and my parents received like the Sears catalog, and it was like about at least an inch thick, maybe 2 inches thick. And I remember as a kid just flipping through the whole thing, and it had everything in there, electronics and clothing and tools and all kinds of stuff. I mean, they literally sent that to, I don't know, like every household in the United States, and had the Sears Tower in Chicago, right? And now Sears is closing like lots and lots and lots of its stores, and they had to sell it. The tower is now called the Willis Tower.
So what you're saying is if they had a chatbot.
I'm saying that you should build a chatbot for Sears is what I'm saying. Sears, if you're listening, get a hold of Nick Julia. And so I just think it's just fascinating. You've got to adapt, like the direct response marketing, direct mail marketing. You just got to, and like, you just got to keep up. And so nobody's receiving big catalogs like that anymore. I mean, the printing costs must have been ridiculous. I mean, Sears must have supported how many printing presses that just ran on that business. My goodness, it's incredible. But you just got to change. Technology is ruthless and will wipe out your business like a Blockbuster. Look what Netflix did to them. Destroyed. Look at Toys R Us, Amazon. It's destroying them. So.
But I also think it kind of depends on your market too. I've actually done growth for a company that their biggest channel was direct mailers. That's how they got most of their customers. And that was the most, it wasn't necessarily the most efficient, but it was kind of the biggest base because who their users were. But, you kind of look at that as, kind of like you talked about email going away. It's never going to go away because, I mean, we're in 2018 and there's still direct mailers there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was Saucy, the app, actually, direct mailers were huge for them. And that was actually a really good way for them. And they found a lot of success in that. And, that was just a year or 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. It becomes more novel in a way because people aren't doing it anymore. You sort of break out the old direct response marketing kind of thing and like send like a postcard or something like that. And, maybe it gets picked up, gets noticed because it's just so different again. And like few people are doing it. So, anymore, it's just, I kind of like, letters. Like, when's the last time you actually sent a letter in the mail and wrote a letter, received a letter in the mail that was like personal? I mean, it's just nobody takes the time or does that anymore. So like, it would be like sort of, that's the other day I had a dinner party and I had a bunch of people over and it was really nice and super fancy. I spent all day working on it. And I got a nice thank you card from a week later from one of the people that attended to it. And it was like so nice actually have like a little card saying, thank you for having me over. I think you should have more dinner parties like this. I had a great time. So nice to know you and everything like that. Like, what a big difference. So anyway, yeah, that's a nice tip is like send people little cards and stuff like that when you met them. And, it's a great way to network with people and just gives that nice personal touch, Any last thoughts? Anything that you guys want to bring up right now for people that are into chatbots?
JP, you have
We cover it.
anything else you want to talk about? I don't know. I think
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's good. Thanks for all this, guys. I enjoyed this really a lot, and I gained a lot from it. So, let's see. What's your let's see. Your website is mindheroes.com, mindheroes.com. Is that the best way to go for people to check you guys out?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, mindheroes.com, misspelled, of course. There should be actually an extra E in there. There's not.
Mind Heroes.
You see? There you go. Looks okay though, right?
Looks fine. I didn't really notice it.
No, but mindheroes.com. If somebody wants a bot, honestly, the bot is probably the best way to do it. And it's kind of all over our site because that's what we do.
Oh yeah, get into the bot.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, there's a build me a bot button that they can click into. Yeah, and it'll go open Messenger and they'll then have that an experience in there to learn more. See if they're a good fit. Is that right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, so then they can find out if they're a good fit and find out a bit about the service.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, there are a couple guides on the site if you want to learn about messenger marketing. Again, we're going to try to bring you into our bot because, and there's an about page that'll be up pretty soon. We've been busy with stuff, and JP gets to constantly remind me, I need this bot for this guy, which is nice, actually.
He cracks the whip.
Yeah. Should people get a hold of you in a different way, JP, or is bot good?
Bot's good, or you can always shoot me an email at jp@mindheroes.com.
And there's no secret, right? My email, nick@mindheroes.com. So, but honestly, I probably respond more quickly to the bot stuff.
That's right, because email is so noisy, and it might get lost in there. Who knows where it might go? So, great, awesome. Thanks, guys. So that's it. That's a wrap for this episode with another awesome bot builder. There's going to be more of these. So yeah, subscribe to the 20 Mile March podcast if you like this kind of thing. We're going to be talking about chatbots from a lot of different builders and featuring their agencies, and how bots are going to take over the world. No, not really. Maybe we get to the what's that called, the universal AI, what's that called? Synchronicity? Singularity. Thank you. Yes, the singularity. And anyway, that's just weird tangent there. But yeah, let me know how I can make this better for you guys. I'm always trying to improve this. So leave a comment and share. I appreciate all my listeners so much. So we'll leave it with that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Thank you.